house. I need to pay it down. I got $40,000 worth of credit cards. 40 grand cannot be your problem. Start adding zeros to your thinking, okay? The numerical system starts with a 0. 1 is not the first number. 0 is the first number. You need to learn how to add the most important number to your numbers. Quit trying to go down, try to go up, right? This guy, Glenn Sanford, $10 billion business in 10 years. He's closed $60 billion worth of real estate deals, and he is disrupting. He is going to disrupt companies like RE/MAX. Sorry, RE/MAX, love you guys, okay? This guy's gonna crush you. You have to change. If you don't change, you get disrupted, okay? All the old players in the space, and you guys feel it, I'm just telling you what it is. It is what it is. And some of you have heard me trash real estate agents before. How many real estate agents in here? Let me hear. What I have said about real estate agents is this: if you don't know your inventory, you don't know the prices, you don't know what the payment on the damn house is gonna be, you don't know what I'm qualified to buy or not buy, then you're garbage. Like, how else do I say it? Be a professional. Maybe 2% of real estate agents are professional. And the reason I partnered with Glenn Sanford and eXp is because Glenn is bringing 2 missing ingredients to the real estate agent, and why most real estate agents are amateurs at best. Because nobody will ever be great just for a commission, ever. Until you get equity in the game, until you can build a team that's massive, until you add commissions, a big paycheck, commissions, possibility, that's great. And then number 2, add, hey man, I could actually build a team that I could also earn money on. And number 3, the most important one, is equity. How do I get a piece? How do I get a piece? And Glenn Sanford is doing that. I want to welcome to you my friend and partner, Glenn Sanford. Everybody give him a big, big welcome. Come on, blow it up. Blow it up. Best dressed man in the house. Look at him. Brioni got the puppy. Come on, big time. It's a big boy right here. Blow it up. I can't hear you. All right, let's chop it up now. Let's chop it up. Glenn, so good to have you here. Your wife is amazing. Where's Debbie? Is Debbie right there? Wonderful. Stand up, Debbie. Let her. You guys got to meet Debbie. Okay, this guy is amazing, and I'm like, I wonder what the wife's going to be like. Like, Glenn's so amazing, I bet it's going to be dud. And she's even more amazing, okay? So good to have you here, man. Appreciate it. And if you guys notice, this guy, wealthiest guy in the room, by the way. Give him a big one. Has been here all 3 days. The guy that needs it the least showed up the most. Appreciate that. And that means a lot to me. Every day I look out there, I'm like, where's Glenn? Oh, there's Glenn, there's Glenn. I'm like, man, that's the example. Set the example. So great to have you here. You started eXp with 25 people. Where'd you find those 25?
I'd actually run real estate teams prior to launching eXp Realty, and Brian Colhane, who's somewhere here in the room, there he is. So Brian and I have been working together since 2005. I had a previous company called Buyer Tours Realty, and after the downturn in 2008, we ended up having to close 3 of our 4 offices, went to a skeleton crew on the 4th, and we actually all got together in April of 2009, and one of our agents actually asked the question, when do we get our offices back? And I'm like, the market kind of sucks right now, and we can't afford offices, so we need to figure out a way to build a business model that's not dependent on bricks and mortar. So that's what we started with, those 25 agents, and now we're 48,000 plus.
48,000 agents. How many countries?
We're in 13 countries, and we've got a bunch more that we're
like launching. Every day I talk to you, like a couple days ago, it was like 11. It was 9, 11, 13. So is it really changing, or is it just like?
No, it is. So there's another gentleman that's here, Michael Valdez.
You never know. I'm a promoter.
He's in
My
the
numbers change sometimes.
he launched 70 countries for his previous brokerage. He had 113 under his domain, and so he joined us last year, and he's like literally doing like 5 countries a quarter.
Wow, that's crazy. So how did you get in the real estate game, and how did you see this, what you're doing? Like, and I want you to explain to everybody what it is eXp's doing.
Yeah, so I got into real estate as an agent, actually on a team of another agent in 2002. I'd come out of technology. I'd launched an internet e-commerce logistics company just before the dot-com collapse, and so I refer to myself as a dot bomber from that exercise. I'd actually worked for AOL at one time. I'd built my own online service and actually built an online community long before Facebook. And so this was before, even pre-web. And so I was really this technology entrepreneur that when I got into real estate, I got into real estate while I was looking for my next deal and whatever my next business was going to be. And it just turned out that real estate was pretty antiquated, and so all these technology skills that I had developed in the 90s were super applicable. Internet lead gen, working with clients online, all this stuff was new stuff in 2002, 3, 4, 5, and so it ended up that real estate ended up being the next deal.
And so why real estate? Why not insurance? Why not financial services?
Because I didn't get hired into those roles. I literally was sort of needing a job. And because I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, and somebody guaranteed me $3,000 a month to join his real estate team, so I got licensed, and so that was kind of how I got in the business. In fact, I was like,
so when you got your license, how old were you?
35.
Okay, and so how long did it take you to pass the test?
It didn't take me. It took me a little longer because the gentleman Hugh, who actually asked me to get my license, he followed up with me 30 days later. And said, Glenn, how come you don't have your real estate license? I said, well, Hugh, I get paid $60 an hour to do website development work. And he goes, I'll pay you $60 an hour, go get your darn license. So then I got my license like probably about 30 days after that. So 60 days it took me. So
$60 an hour almost kept you from building a $10 billion business. You guys realize that? That is a freaking whack idea. That's an expensive job there to keep. So you're going from developing to now you're going to sell homes. That was the game? Like you were just going to
Yeah, so basically I told the gentleman that brought me in, I said, I'm going to do the online thing. I'm going to generate the leads online, work with clients, and I'm not going to go wear a realtor pin at the grocery store. I'm not going to be accosting my friends and family. I'm going to build this online, and if it works, great, and if it doesn't, I'm going to go do something else because I'm really technology oriented. And so he said, fine, which was great. And so that's how I got, like, 2002, I sold 17 properties just to clients I met online, rookie of the year. First full year, sold about $7 million worth of real estate in 2003.
Where were you?
Bellingham, Washington. So,
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
right.
So that's a lot of real estate in Bellingham.
Yeah,
here is like half a house.
Yeah, that's true. Up there, our average price point was at the time about 200, 220.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a few houses.
And so, were you a good salesman?
I was, yeah. I was good. I was really good on the lead generation side, and I was always about inbounds. So I was not the prospecting person. I didn't like going and knocking on doors and talking to people that I didn't have a relationship with. But if I could create a funnel where people are calling me, I'm like, those are my peeps.
So yeah. Hey, I want something. So you were the salesperson that kept the funnel full. You kept the top of the funnel full, rather than the guy that's going to be the closer and handling objections. You just kept your funnel. Is that right?
Well, I kept the funnel full, but because of the way that I lead generated, I'd already built a relationship. I was doing I had websites, probably 10 websites locally, all branding me and the stuff I did. So when people came in, they wanted to work with me. So it wasn't as much selling, but more just being of service.
So, and how does that relate to what you're doing today? Like, you have no offices where Keller, Remax, who are the big players?
Yeah, Keller Williams, Remax, all the Real G brands. It's Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Compass. I mean, those are.
And how many agents would those three combined have?
So if you add Realty in there, there's probably 400,000 or 500,000 agents. Like Keller Williams is 150, Remax is a little over 100, and all the Realty brands a couple
I
hundred.
wonder why he knows the numbers of his competition.
Well, their numbers are going down. Yeah.
They got to go somewhere. They're going to go up, they're going to go down, or they're going to stay flat, you know? So what are you doing like, how is the funnel that you created with technology, that helped you be a top agent, how are you using that to help other agents?
Yeah, so what I learned as an agent, 2004, I went independent from the team I was on, started running teams, and I started to just recognize that for a real estate professional, it's really tough to get off the hamster wheel. One, real estate's a pretty good sales career. You can make good income, but there's no way to sort of get off of that in a traditional model. And so I just kept on looking at the fact that I didn't really have a business that I owned. I had a business that owned me, and I was like, how do I retool this thing so that I can actually have something of value for myself, my family, and then other agents and brokers that actually wanted to go on this journey with me. And so that was really fundamentally what we were trying to do is to solve the pain points of helping agents actually own a business without having to go through the brain damage of actually starting a business.
And so you knew that because you did it. Were you like, when you were selling real estate, if you made 3% or 6%, what is it?
Yeah,
whatever it is that we always
3,
complain about. The consumer always complains about
yeah,
it.
Yeah,
whatever.
it's about 2.8% average.
Okay, so on $7 million, so that made you $150,000.
Yeah, about that.
And then you probably gave some of it to the house.
I did.
Okay, and so when you were doing that, you're like, man, there's got to be a better way. Like,
yeah.
where did you come up with the equity model?
Yeah, so my dad and I actually in the late 80s, early 90s, we actually took about 15 different companies public through a process called a reverse merger, where you'd actually find a public shell, and then you'd take that company and you'd roll it into the shell so they could do something with the equity. So there was a lot of companies back then that wanted to do that, so we did that a bunch of times. And so when we started eXp, we wanted all of our agents to be shareholders, but there were rules, especially back in 2009, around the number of non-accredited shareholders you could have in a company, which was limited to 35, and most real estate agents aren't accredited. So in 2013, we actually bought a public company, reversed ourselves into that public company, so we could then distribute equity to our agents, because a public vehicle removes that limitation of 35 shareholders. So 2014, we started to distribute equity to our agents because, quite frankly, I wasn't offered equity when I was at the firms that I was with, even though
you were, or were not.
I was not, and I was the biggest single agent team in the offices that I was involved with. And I went to the broker owner, and I said, hey, can I get some equity? And he says, no. I'm like, well, that kind of blows. And so I ended up moving to another brokerage, and I actually got offered 1% of the market center, and that was all they wanted to actually sell me. And then I read the document that went along with it and all the stuff I had to agree to. I'm like going, nobody in the right mind should give up their whole future for this 1%. So I backed away from any of that equity. And then when we started eXp, we're like, how do we actually create meaningful amounts of equity for our agents and brokers?
So it sounds, and I've heard this theme a couple times now, it's like the pain point, the problem that you experienced became your pivot and what your offer really is.
Yeah, I refer to myself as a focus group of one. So that's, so I'm like, if I'm feeling this pain and I'm recognizing that this is actually blocking me from where I want to go, then there's probably a whole bunch of other people that have this exact same pain. So if I can solve it for me, then I can solve it for everybody else at the same time, and that kind of created its own marketplace, because that is the biggest challenge. I mean, if you're an agent and you're not with eXp, I mean, raise your hand if you're going, man, I really like the equity I'm getting at my brokerage. like seriously, there's no opportunity to actually earn, what we built. We pioneered this model. There's some small copycats that are sort of going, oh, eXp did it, now we're going to copy it. But we innovated around agent compensation as being the differentiator in the marketplace.
So why, like, who in the room has dealt with a real estate agent before? Everybody? Who knows a real estate agent? Say 10X. So, like, when I ask that question in a room, I'm like, okay, everybody's been involved, and or they want to be involved, and or most people say, you know, most real estate agents are not that effective. And you know, they don't know the market. I know when I moved to Miami, I knew more about the market in Miami from Google searches and Zillow and Trulia than an agent wanted to show me a house. I'm like, no, I want this particular view. And she's like, let me show you this house. It doesn't have that view. I'm like, why would you want to show me that house? It doesn't have the view, right? So why do you think, Glenn, with 43,000 agents, you have to have some data?
48,000.
48,000, sorry. I know, I hate being cut too. 48,000, going to 100. When's the target for 100?
It depends on who you ask. Some people are wanting to do it this year, and I think we got a little bit of rocket fuel, so may hit it this year.
Yeah. 10X fuel. So what are the inefficiencies of the agent, and why? Because there seems to be this common denominator. I'm not trying to trash him, but
yeah, I think the reality is most people that get into residential real estate came from another career that wasn't a sales-based career. And so, you know, you're a school teacher, you're an engineer, you're this, you're that. And so you've got this whole new skill set that you have to develop around, you know, lead generation, database, follow-up, all the stuff that you coach and train. Those are new skill sets for most people, and it takes a while for people to kind of get that. And then, in addition to that, the person who's coaching them a lot of times doesn't actually teach them the right things as well. So you've got agents who don't know the inventory because somebody said, well, if somebody calls you, just send them the MLS info, and then if they want to actually see the property, then you can go see it together for the first time together. It's like, well, that's kind of a waste of time. So we actually did this whole, like, you know, I go back to Brian, but we'd actually preview like 10 homes a day, taking photos on behalf of buyers. So we knew the inventory better than anybody else. And it's so easy to do that, but most agents aren't coached to actually go and truly preview, truly understand the inventory. And so they're kind of like learning about the houses at the same time the customer is.
yeah, and do you think that is because of the traditional pay plan, which has been sell it, you earn a commission, and then there's no skin in the game, there's no glue, there's nothing sticky?
I'm sure there's part of that. I mean, there's been great sales trainers over time that have sort of said, hey, here's how you really do this business, and people will latch on to that and they'll do well with it. But most agents don't have those good mentors and good trainers that actually teach them how to be effective. And so as a result, they're kind of, it's like blind people like trying to figure out how to read Braille, and they haven't even learned that yet.
So how much do you see, though, that the equity, because I know some other people have tried the equity model, right? We're going to give you a little piece. How's your equity offer and the team building piece different than maybe some of the other offers out there?
Yeah, so.
How good am I, Brian, huh? I mean, I just keep serving them up, right?
Yeah. Well, first I think Brandon was talking about yesterday about how we're kind of like a Primerica Financial. And so if anybody knows how their model works, I think we got some folks back there. So the cool thing about the model is that, you know, as an agent that's actively working with other agents on deals, as they come into eXp, you actually start to earn some of the income that they're generating for the brokerage. You're actually going to get that back, and that's actually sort of a 7-level style comp plan. So you can think about it kind of like network marketing, but for real estate. And then the second part of it is that as you do your first transaction, if you pay in a full cap, and our model is 16,000, as you attract another agent, as you do different milestones, you can actually earn equity along the way. And so we've created more millionaires in the residential real estate industry than pretty much any other real estate brokerage in existence.
Do you want to share Brian's story, how you met Brian? Because that story is like,
Oh yeah, so
crazy.
Brian and I, we
this is
ran
Brian right here in the orange shorts.
Yeah,
you know you got a lot of money when you show up in orange shorts.
So we ran a Craigslist ad. We actually ran a team, or tried to get a team started with somebody successful in Phoenix, Arizona. We generated about 600 leads for this really big icon there, and he didn't close any of our leads. So we ran an ad on Craigslist and said, hey, we're looking to bring in a team leader. In 2005, he joined us, and so since then, I mean, really the big story is back in 2011, Brian broke his femur off of his leg and couldn't show property for like almost a year. And because of eXp, he didn't have to declare bankruptcy. He had the financial wherewithal to actually weather that to get back in shape. And now he's a multi-millionaire because of eXp.
And what? Yeah, so they have a virtual. Talk about your virtual.
So we don't have any physical offices.
Verbella?
Verbella, yeah. So one of the things that we were trying to solve in 2009 was how do you build collaboration and community if you don't have a physical office? And that's the biggest thing that people sort of bring up. How do you do that if you don't have an office? And so we said, we've got to figure out a way to do that. And so we actually decided in 2009 to go to work in a virtual world for business. So you can think about, Minecraft or Roblox or whatever, a virtual world where you're literally walking in as an avatar into boardrooms and training centers, and we've got 60, 100 hours of training going on for agents and brokers all across the world.
He gives me this tour of Verbella, and he's like, okay, so next thing I know, I'm in this 3D environment where, hey, Glenn, how you doing? People walking up to him, little avatars like this big. I'm like, hey, Glenn, how you doing this morning? And then I'm good. And they're talking to each other. And then he goes into a conference room and I'm like, man, that thing is trick. Because you actually feel like you're in it getting training rather than have somebody just come at you with a flat video.
Yeah, it's all about serendipitous, meaningful collisions. I mean, the reason why...
Say that again?
Serendipitous, meaningful collisions. The reason why offices exist...
How do you come up with that?
What's that? Oh, actually, so Tony Hsieh actually talked about that in his book, Delivering Happiness. And the way that he designed the Zappos office was to create collisions. So that's why offices are really valuable. So I don't want to diss offices, but they actually create a place where you can actually run into people and have water cooler conversations and then brainstorm on whatever this next idea is, and then you go and let's go do that. And so that's what a physical office represents, and we wanted to create that in a virtual sense, which literally that's what happens. We literally run into people, bounce ideas and go, hey, let's pull a few people together and we'll stand up a new idea or concept in a few days just because of people that were in our proximity virtually in a virtual world.
So you guys understand, he has no physical offices, 43,000 agents, 48,000 agents, going to 100, okay? And so how do you build a culture? I think everybody's going through this thing right now. How do I build a culture and I can't even see people? And he's creating this situation where you actually, because that's my deal with the office. I want an office. I want physical. I want to touch people. I want to see them. I want to see what they're driving up in, how their life is going. And so he's replacing that. How many of you miss being in an environment seeing people? So if we're going to truly go without offices, I don't think we will, do you?
No, just a small subsection of the world will, but
yeah,
but not most of the world.
Yeah, no. Yeah, most of the world won't. But you'd still want connection. What do you call it again, those three things?
Oh, the serendipitous meaningful collision thing?
Yeah, I like that, man. That's sexy. I'm going to use that on Elena tonight. How about we have a serendipitous collision? Meaningful. Doesn't have to be that meaningful. Let's just hit it. $10X. I hit it last night. I'm transparent. Fat Joe got me going. I appreciate you being willing to be a partner with me. It's a risk. Okay, this is a publicly traded company he has. Okay, $10 billion. Who in the room has built a $10 billion business? He has. And you're with him. Come on, come on. That's stupid, man. You know, I just want to say the reason I do that is because our culture today celebrates so many terrible things every day. The media spends all this time paying attention to stuff that's like just awful. We were doing a charity event for, we had 140 black kids at 10X headquarters. And NBC was coming out to do a show to let people know about the work we were doing with the community. And the lady calls up on the way out and says, I can't make it. We're going to follow a car chase or a thief or something. But that's the way of the world. So when I run into somebody that's done something really big, like Glenn has at eXp, and he's going to do something really big for a lot of people, and he will disrupt an entire industry for the better, you just got to give him a big hand and a lot of love, okay? Okay? That's right. Because what you admire, you can have. You got to admire it, man. You got to give it love. Because if you hate on it or don't pay attention to it, you're going to push it away. Okay, so Glenn, talk to me about, like, it hadn't all been good stuff, right? Has there been any big disappointments along the way, or have you just been blessed?
No, there's been big disappointments. I mean, even when we started eXp, I mean, we literally had to borrow money to actually get into 2009 because the housing market had crashed. So this was, you know, we had to raise some money, figure out how to get to 2009.
How much money did you have to borrow?
It wasn't much. I mean, it was 150,000 is what it took to sort of pay for what we needed to do pivot-wise. But you know, I've had to fight off some different stuff. I've had to fight off a potential, you know, hostile takeover in my own company at one point. And I mean, there's been a lot of stress in, you know, growing businesses, and so it's not been all. We've never had a month where we had fewer agents than we had the month before. We've never had a quarter where we did less than we did, you know, previously. So we've been growing all the way through, but you know, in 2016, 2017, the wheels were almost coming off because we're growing so fast. Of course, maybe we'll have to deal with that problem again.
Well, you want to tell them what you told me like a couple weeks ago, that text you sent me? I know you didn't want to send me that text.
Oh, which text was that?
The text about, hey man, maybe just back off.
Oh, yeah. So it was, yeah. So
we didn't even have a signed deal yet. Like, we in here, we were talking, discussing. Go ahead.
Freestyling. So, you know, a little bit of Clubhouse, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you know, all of a sudden, you know, Elena's like up there as an agent, and I'm like going, she's not really an agent quite yet. And so we got compliance, and we got, you know, this regulated industry, and so we had to just say, hey, can we calm down at least until Elena gets her license?
And I could tell he didn't want to send this text. I could tell. Because who wants to say to a performer, right, or a producer, hey, slow down? You guys, how many of you have heard that before? You got to slow down a little bit.
And Grant texts back, I bet you haven't had to say that very often.
Yeah, exactly. So talk to me about, I asked Tommy Hilfiger, I think Jesse Itzler had a different opinion. What is the important, if they're not in real estate, okay, or in real estate, whatever, how important is it for people in the room to scale?
It's absolutely critical that you scale. I mean, the reality is that, you know, if you're not growing, you're rotting, and that's kind of, you know, the reality is you're either, you know, stepping into figuring out new exciting challenges. I've played with the idea that, you know, once you start to coast, that's the first stage of pain. You know, and so, you know, if you always got to be, figuring out the next thing you're going to do, and the next way you're going to retool, and the next, and it's, you know, and it's work. Like it's not easy to do that, but it literally, is the thing that the muscle memory that you develop around that, is something that can never be taken away from you once you've done it. And it's one of the cool things about having scaled is, once you've done it, you're set because you've already now you got this mindset, you've got this thing that, again, nobody can take away from you, but you have to think about scale. You got to think about growing your revenues. You got to think about growing your database. You got to figure out ways to do that very quickly and engineer whatever you need to engineer to make that happen because, generally speaking, people do have to do 10 times as much as they expect to get the results that they originally thought were possible. And then eventually you get to the point where, you grow then exponentially at some point beyond that.
So do you think, you've been through the whole cycle. You've been from a real estate agent to creating software technology to building what you're building now. Is it easier to go big or to stay small? Or is it harder?
I think it is harder to actually go big. I think there's definitely a lot of things that you're going to have to break, even when they're not broken, to get to the next level. So that's, if it's not broke, break it is sort of one of my mantras. Because if you're not breaking stuff, then and that takes work. You're going to be aggravating your team. You're going to be having to invest in new systems and processes. But so there is more work in scale.
But what is the work? You've always scaled though. How would you know?
Well, that's true.
Like how many of you suffer a lot because you're trying to stay small? You're spinning the plates. I don't want to use debt. I don't want to use my money. I want to save money for retirement. I want to grow my business, but I want to do all these other things. Like where's that purpose? I want to grow, but I don't want to spend. Like, how do you balance that out?
Yeah, I think you're going to spend the same number of hours a day doing work. So why not do work that actually takes you somewhere? And so that, for me, is why not go for it? Like that, what's the worst that can happen? I always go, what's the worst that can happen? And I just embrace that that's a possibility, own it, and go for it anyway. And there's lots of times I just go for it anyway, and it generally works out because, well, one, people follow people with big visions. If you're trying to build a business and you don't have a big vision, and having a big vision that you can clearly articulate that vision to people, you won't have a hiring problem because people will want to be on your team. You're not going to have a revenue problem because people are going to want to be a customer of yours. And so people follow people with big visions. And so a lot of stuff gets easier when you go big.
Thank you. Love that. I did both. I did 20 years. I played little, and it was just more difficult than what I'm doing today. I got more help, more support. You get more problems too, but
it's way more fun to go big.
Yeah. A lot more people, better people.
Better people, and it is way more fun to go for it than to not go for it.
So when Tyrese said yesterday, I'm going for quality over quantity. Do you agree with that, or do you think quantity is the way to quality?
I think there's a lot of people that sort of use quality as a way not to do stuff, and so I think there's always got to be a way to increase quality over time, but quality shouldn't be the first goal. You got to get into the game with people and in business, and anything worth doing is worth doing badly at first. That's one of my big mantras.
Say that again. Can you say that again?
Anything worth doing is worth doing badly at first.
Yes. What is your connection to 10X? And how do you just want to tell the story about how you got involved with me and how you heard about me?
Clubhouse. Yeah.
Really? It was Clubhouse?
Well, no. I obviously have known who you are, but the first time you and I ever connected was on Clubhouse.
Right.
And obviously Grant's got a bigger than life persona. So if you have never seen him, it's like, where the hell have you been? Because it's pretty hard to miss this guy. But, so it's just, the books, we have lots of our agents that, we're still, they'll be wearing 10X stuff all the time, so a lot of just getting exposed to that, and love just what 10X means. I mean, the reality is that, just adding that extra zero, if you want to figure out what's blocking you in your business and you're having a hard time in identifying it, you just add a zero to your goal, solve that, and then you'll figure out everything that's stopping you from getting what your current goal is. So for me, it's like 10X is it's just a way to solve problems.
It is. It's a way to solve problems, 100%. So what's your takeaway been? You've been here 3 days, Glenn, sitting here, you're watching, paying attention. You're a guy in the room that probably doesn't financially need that, but you are. So what's your takeaway and why? Why have you sat here and chosen to be a student?
Yeah, well, one, you and I are getting into business together, and I want to learn as much about this guy and the way he thinks and the people that he associates with as I possibly can. So, whether I'm, reading the books, I was on your challenge all 5 days last week. So when you were doing your challenge, like I was in there watching all of that whole stuff, because and the more that I get to know, Grant Cardone, man, this guy's got to be like one of the, if not the genius in this space. Like he's like the guy, and I'm like going, this guy's.
Stop it.
No, but I'm serious. We've all had mentors, and we've all sort of figured out how to get to where we go wherever we're at. But then there's certain people that just play on a whole different level and just blow people's minds, and that's your role, man. And it's just awesome.
And so, thank you guys. Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate that. So, what's your big takeaway been? Like you came here one way. What are you leaving with?
Well, I got to meet so many different people. Like I'm already thinking about all the different business relationships that can be developed just from being in this room. So having the conversations with that you put me next to Glenn Stearns the other day, and he's got his mortgage company. So I'm going, man, there's an opportunity there.
We should tie in.
And then then I was chatting with Pete Vargas and going, holy smokes, and then Brandon and I are chatting. So I'm like going, there's some serious business relationships to be built from just being in the room and just paying attention, and that's why I was here. It's like that's why I was having the conversations, meeting the people, having conversations. It's just I'm always thinking about who can I be in relationship with in some capacity? How can I add value? And that's really where I kind of lean into, is like, where can I add value into people's lives, and then what can we do together?
And what would you tell the audience to leave with? Like, they're going to be leaving here today. Some of you are staying over, I think, for tomorrow. Who's staying over for tomorrow? Okay, beautiful. Do you have a piece of takeaway, something to add to this serendipitous, meaningful collision?
You mean other than everybody should get their real estate license? You mean other than that?
Well,
no.
Elena can prove to you, it takes 30 days to get the license done, and you can pass the first.
No, I think what I got out of this, and what I think the takeaway is there's so many ways to level up, and so many people to network with, and obviously you've got the people on the stage, but then you've got all the people that are sitting, to your left, to your right, in front of you, behind you, and all those serendipitous, meaningful collisions. I mean, if you're not walking out of here building a bigger business and a bigger empire, from people you've met here, I mean, you've missed a huge opportunity, because there's so many really amazing people in this room.
Ladies and gentlemen, a big, warm 10X welcome, Glenn Sanford.